Hello and welcome to the Week 6 NFL Survivor video. My name is Steven Andrus, joined this week by Mo Nawara, the author of our weekly NFL Survivor Grid, our Survivor Probabilities tool to help you hopefully get through another week in what has been a tumultuous NFL season to this point. Matt Brown out this week over at the Global Gaming Expo in Vegas. He'll be back next week. But Mo, yet again, more carnage in week number 5 of the more than 500,000 original entries on the ESPN contest. We're down to less than 7%. I know you follow the Circle one out in Vegas too, and another huge percentage of those remaining were eliminated there as well.
Yeah, 40% busto in the Circa contest this week. We were one of them. Me and the Gridiron Gamble boys did put one of our entries on the Jags. I will say, even though it wasn't a good pick, just strictly because of the ownership, they were 36% selected. Yeah. So it wasn't a good pick, but I would say that us and everybody else who had the Jags definitely deserved a better fate. They completely dominated the Texans and just basically lost every high leverage moment in that game. So, I would be very confident in taking the Jags again if they played tomorrow. But, that's variance. That's sports.
For sure. I was fortunate enough to take the 49ers in my ESPN pool, so still kicking there. I did take the Jaguars in our work pool here at thelines.com and Katina Media. Thankfully, our powers that be made it a 2-strike rule for the Work Survivor League. So thank you for that technicality to keep me alive and kicking. We will try and keep going here this week. Who did you pick in your other Circa Survivor contest to keep you guys alive?
We had a mighty sweat. We took the Chiefs. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. The old 17-0 comeback, but I think the Chiefs were unlucky to be in that spot for sure. Obviously, one of the worst calls you'll see in your entire life.
Yeah.
At least a 6-point swing there. Probably 10. But yeah, I think it was an okay spot to take the Chiefs. I was a little surprised. Donnie went with them just because high total, divisional opponent. These can be some of the trickier spots, I guess. But sure. Happy to get through for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Josh McDaniels, for the 2-point conversion attempt and surviving the worst roughing the passer call that I have ever seen after what I thought was the worst roughing the passer call I've ever seen the day before with Tom Brady. So as we move forward this week, we remind everybody that last week the popular entry was the Green Bay Packers on ESPN, at least 24% picked. The Jaguars were only 9% picked, so a big difference there was Circa, I think, with the Thanksgiving Day slate and the Christmas Day slate to consider in that contest, but nationwide, nobody had to worry about that, so that made the Packers the most popular. So each week, we are going to continue to try and execute some game theory here. When possible, we do not want to take the most popular team to give us the best opportunity of having the fewest number of people left at the end and maybe being the one sole winner by the time we get to the end of the season. If the way things are going right now, we might not even get to week 18 in these survivor pools. So we will see. If we go to Mo Nawara's column on thelines.com for Survivor, you will find that there are 3 teams with an implied probability to win of at least 74%. That's about half the number of teams of what we saw last week. The Rams are big favorites against Carolina after they just fired their coach. The Buccaneers are big favorites on the road at Pittsburgh. And the Green Bay Packers, despite the loss to the Giants, are still minus 350 on the money line at home against the New York Jets. Mo, of those 3 teams, any of those teams that you are trying to stay away from this week in Survivor because despite the implied win probability, you have some concerns?
Yeah, I think there's definitely concerns around the Rams. And honestly, Green Bay, they don't look that good. The Rams, I don't know. It's hard to see how they could lose to PJ Walker. If there was like an actual professional quarterback on the other side, I'd be very, very happy to let everyone else pick the Rams. I don't know if PJ Walker should have a job. And given how tough the Rams' remaining schedule is, the only other big favorite spot they have is Seattle at home. And given how frisky Seattle's been, I don't really see that line being as high as it's projected right now. So yeah, I definitely understand why a lot of people are going to click the Rams. But I mean, dude, we saw with that Patriots game against the Packers, like -10, -11. This is not a complete free space. This is still 15, 20% chance you're going to go bust. So if everyone else in the world is on it, you probably shouldn't be on it.
Yeah, going back to game theory, right? Like try and pick the teams that are not as popular. At least in terms of ESPN, for what this worth, the Rams are projected to have 15% of remaining entries select them. That is fewer than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are currently projected at 10%. And the Green Bay Packers right now appear to be the most popular choice, 17% right now. Those are the three teams with double-digit ownership, so to speak, for week 6 in terms of the remaining entries in the ESPN survivor pool. So just based on that alone, I agree with you that the Packers and the Rams, I think, are not just automatic. Although I will say that the concern I've had with the Rams is protection for Matthew Stafford, and they've run up against literally the 3 toughest opponents when it comes to that, with the Bills and then the Niners and then the Cowboys. The Panthers are outside the top 20 in pass rush win rate, so I don't see much of a concern with them this week having trouble moving the ball offensively. So I'm not as concerned with the Rams this week, but based on game theory alone, the team I'm most confident in out of that top 3 is the Bucs, and it looks like they're going to be the least owned, which makes them the obvious choice for me out of this tier. So let's move on
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
with
Mo.
you. I'm definitely with you. If I had to pick one of these, I think it would be the Bucs. I mean, they're playing the best football out of these 3 teams, I think. I know the Chiefs pasted them, but it's the Chiefs. And then, I mean, they were up huge on the Falcons. You know, they fell asleep a little bit. It's not really something I think we should be too worried about. So, we just saw what happened with the Steelers against a high volume passing game. They got completely flattened by the Bills. So it should be a good spot to take the Bucs. I know it's on the road and it's like not exciting to take road teams, but if the Bucs ownership is low, I think it's decent.
For sure. Right now, that's my top choice. We'll see if you talk me into somebody else here. The next tier down, we have between 67% implied win probability to 68%. Basically, that less than 75%, but higher than 60% tier here. The Chargers at home against the Denver Broncos, the San Francisco 49ers on the road against Atlanta, the Philadelphia Eagles at home against Dallas, and the Baltimore Ravens on the road against the Giants. The first I'd eliminate right away there is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this is a divisional matchup. You mentioned that. The Chiefs almost got bounced from a divisional game last week. We've seen this over and over again. I've already bet on the Cowboys to cover this spread. That's a conversation for another video. But this Dallas team, I think, has shown that they can pull some upsets with how ferocious their pass rush is, and that's the last team I want to go up against in Survivor, even if it is with the Eagles.
This one, I do like the Eagles more than you for sure. So
okay, all right,
we're gonna have to argue this week
enough to take
Eli.
them in Survivor over these other teams.
I don't
though?
think so, because it's like you said, there's definitely some like positive variance that can happen with this pass rush because they make huge plays, and we want safe when it comes to Survivor. And honestly, I think safe might be the 49ers. I know the Falcons have been very frisky this year, but they're getting so much mileage out of their rushing attack.
Yeah.
Another huge game for them on the ground, 151 yards against the Bucs, but nobody can run on the 49ers so far this year. 3 yards per play allowed. That's first in the NFL. And yeah, only the Titans have allowed a lower success rate than them. So, I mean, the fact that this game could be on Marcus Mariota's shoulders against this awesome defense, I mean, it's not like it's not an exciting spot because it's, they're facing a bad team on the road. Teams kind of tend to have some letdown situations there, but if they come to play at all, and then they just pasted the Panthers in a similar spot. So as long as they bring that same sort of intensity, I mean, they really should roll the Falcons here.
I agree. And we've seen signs as well of Arthur Smith not sending out his best weapons and the ideal number of snaps. I know Kyle Pitts missed last week, but even when he's been on the field, he's not running routes on every single snap. He's barely getting targeted. Drake London, their promising young rookie receiver, isn't even in full participation on route running here on some of these pass plays. So it's very head scratching on the way he's deploying his best weapons in the passing game. And again, how heavy they are relying on the run game. That's generally not a formula of sustained success in today's NFL, as you've said over and over again since you've joined our staff. And I agree with you that of this tier, that's probably the team I'm most comfortable taking against the Chargers, who are still a little bit banged up, playing a division opponent in the Broncos, and the Ravens playing a Giants team who we just saw upset the Green Bay Packers, and the Ravens have to go on the road here. So I think the danger is the least with the San Francisco 49ers. If you want to get a little bit contrarian here, you mentioned in your column the Minnesota Vikings at Miami. I guess we just have to kind of wait and see with the quarterback situation here, right? I'm assuming that's why you mentioned the Vikings this week.
Yeah, definitely. This is not even something you should waste more than 30 seconds thinking about unless Skylar Thompson or some similar player is the starter for Miami. I'll be honest, like I never imagined when I watched Skylar Thompson in college, which he won me many wagers with Kansas State, okay? I never imagined he was going to be a professional quarterback. So, I mean, hats off to him for getting in there and starting. I guess he didn't start, but playing mostly 95% of the snaps, whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, congrats to him, but man, I know the Vikings defense stinks, but they should definitely not lose to Skylar Thompson. Yeah, that being said, I would have said the same thing about Cooper Rush last year against the Vikings. So they know how to fall flat on their faces for sure.
What makes you include the Browns here as at least a contrarian sneaky play against the New England Patriots after they just pasted the Lions?
I think mostly the fact that the Browns' schedule is basically done being easy. It's going to get quite difficult from here on out. They're not even going to be favored until week 13 at Houston. I think they're favored maybe 2-3 games down the stretch at that point. But if you're in a smaller pool where like you're not really even expecting to be playing week 16 or 17, like say you're in like a 100-player pool, 10 people are left, whatever it is, it'd be a pretty big upset if you were still playing, one way or the other by that point. So Browns facing the Patriots, Bailey Zappi, he's playing football on easy mode so far. He hasn't had to do anything. He's on the road against a solid team here. I know the Browns defense has sucked so far, but I just can't believe with the talent they have that it's going to continue to be this bad. So I think fading Bailey Zappi on the road and at a spot where just nobody in the world is going to be on the Browns can't be that bad.
Yeah, again, going back to game theory and finding teams that are the least picked, that they are certainly going to be near the bottom of that table in a game that they are favored in, but still not going to be as popular as any of these other teams that we mentioned. Okay, Mo, now let's wrap things up here with our top 3 choices for Survivor in week number 3. I'll start us off here. I already used the 49ers last week, but if I hadn't picked them, they would be my top choice this week at Atlanta. I think it's a similar spot where it's, game of trenches here. They have a huge mismatch on both sides. On top of that, the 49ers, I don't think have as much future value after this week with their difficult schedule that you're going to be waiting a long time before you're comfortable using them again. So I like the 49ers. I already used them though. So my next choice is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers are a train wreck right now. They can't stop anybody against the pass. Their quarterback situation is obviously still a work in progress, and an offensive line that, although has shown at least a bit of improvement in the metrics, now has to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. So I'm very comfortable taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My third choice would be the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not sure that it's worth saving them rest of the season with what they've shown us on offense. I think they're going to be a candidate to get upset at various points throughout the rest of the season, even if they are a decent favorite. That offensive line's not getting any better anytime soon, but they are playing a team that just fired their coach that can't get anything together on offense and playing what Mo described as a quarterback who shouldn't even be in the league. So probably the best spot you can play the Rams, even though they aren't exactly instilling confidence at this point. So 49ers, Bucks, Rams, top 3 choices for me. Mo, how about you?
The same. I go Bucks first, 49ers second, and then, unfortunately, I will have to say Rams third. I'm not excited about it, but Yeah, they just have no reason in the world not to win this game. PJ Walker is very bad. He's on the road facing a defense that can put some pressure on him, and this should be very, very ugly. But yeah, like you said, this Rams offense, I mean, they've literally been like, I would say probably one of the 5 worst offenses I've watched significant snaps of. I mean, I've never seen an O-line play this bad, I don't think. It's been pretty amazing how bad they've been.
Last time I've seen an O-line play this bad was when Andrew Luck was quarterbacking the Colts, and he was getting killed and hit so much that his kidney was lacerated. I mean, that's how bad it's been. So if it continues to be this bad, Matthew Stafford will not survive the season. That's my opinion of how bad it is. So I'm with you. All right, we're in agreement. Those are the top 3 for Survivor for week 6. As always, all the content is completely free here at thelines.com. Head to the homepage, hit that Discord button in the top right-hand corner, go to the Rolls channel, and click on the buttons, and you will get push notifications of every time anybody on our staff locks in a bet, so you can get the best of the number. Here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know down in the comments who you are picking in Survivor for week number 6. But for Mona Wara, I'm Steven Andress. Best of luck with your picks and your bets in the NFL this week.